All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of More Content Talk. That's the only show that cuts through the clam, the glitz, and all the bullshit to bring you the truthiest news that we can find. One thing that will always be true, um, folks, regardless of your political beliefs or your religious beliefs or your morality, for those of you who are secular, your secular humanism, if you will. One thing that will always be true is you'll never know someone's story until you ask them about it. I oftentimes, because of just my nature, the way that I am, I enjoy debate, I enjoy discussions, I enjoy hard discussions, I enjoy discussions that are thought-provoking, not just talking about the weather or talking about some video you saw or, these fun time conversations or these things where people just nod and agree the whole time, even if they may disagree. They say, "Oh yeah, I can relate to that," even though they probably can't relate to it all, but they just want the other person to shut up, um, or maybe just have the conversation be pleasant, and so they don't challenge them. I challenge. I ask hard questions. I play devil's advocate a lot of times because there's deeper discussions to be had, and it's good to have those deeper discussions. When you get into not having deep, thoughtful discussions, you're getting into dumbing yourself down. You're getting into apathy. Because if you don't think about the hard questions, it means that you don't care about the hard questions. That's what it means. Maybe you're not actively trying to be an apathetic person, but it's the job of people like me, and it always has been the thinkers, the intellects in society to challenge you and kind of, get you back grounded into the real world, away from La La Land and Hollywood and fantasy and Disney and all these things where everything always works out in the end. You know, in the movies, they will oftentimes change the endings now because it makes the audience sad. You can't trust Hollywood to give you the real story. They're always going to give you the fake story. Guy gets the girl in the end. And even if he doesn't, even let's say like the guy doesn't get the girl in the end, he still is okay, right? We all know that's a lie. We all know a lot of men, when they get divorced, oftentimes through fault of their own. This is not me excusing the behavior of men. But what happens to them? They end up living in some apartment, some one bedroom, probably broke, can't buy the things they want to buy or do the things they want to do. And they sit in there and they mope and maybe drink until they pass away. That's kind of how my father ended up because he put himself there. Let me be completely transparent, right? And I'll explain to you why he put himself there a little later. But I just want to preface all of this with when you're having these discussions with people and you're telling them like these colloquialisms, respect your elders. What's another one? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. All of these things. Maybe the reason that there are certain people who don't follow those colloquialisms is because they have had severely traumatic experiences that have taught them that, oh my gosh, I can't always follow this way of life. I can't always follow this advice. Um, and maybe their circumstances are so beyond anything you've experienced and so different from anything that you've experienced that you're coming at them like, hey, that's not good. You can't say that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And you don't even know the full story. And you know what? You know what? I'm not even mad about it. I'm not upset about it. I forgive that impulse because the impulse of humanity is to self-soothe always. Maybe things are terrible, maybe they're awful, maybe they're horrible, maybe the whole world is coming to an end out there. But we're gonna sit here, we're gonna cuddle what do they have now, Labubu's or we're gonna pet our dogs and we're gonna say everything's gonna be okay, even though that very likely is not true. We're a species that lies to survive. We lie to others, but we also, and I would say it's much more prevalent, we lie to ourselves. We tell each other that the vast majority of people are good, empathetic, caring people, even though in the modern era, the evidence for this is scant. We don't have any evidence that says the vast majority of people are good, but we walk around saying that, well, most people are good. Most people are good. No evidence required. We just tell ourselves that because there is an urge in you to believe that everyone is good. It makes the world an easier place to live in when you think that everyone is good, because you'll assume that if you need help, someone will come along and help you. It's a nice assumption to make. It's a comforting assumption to make. I'm not saying you're a bad person for making that assumption. I used to think this too. I used to really believe it. When I was a kid, I was a young, gullible, happy-go-lucky kid who believed everything that everyone told him who was an adult. Uh, not strangers, obviously, but the parental figures in my life, the role models, the teachers, the know-it-alls. Because that's what they are to you when you're a kid. You say, wow, this person knows all these big words, they know all these big numbers, they have all these cool kind of fancy sayings and big books that they go to refer to knowledge. They must know everything. But they don't, do they? They don't know everything. Your father and your mother, they may be very sweet people, or maybe they're not. And the reality is that even if they aren't very sweet people, you'll probably tell me that they are anyway, because you're supposed to respect your elders, right? Why do they tell you that? Why do they tell you to respect your elders? You ever wonder why? If you respect me, I can do whatever I want to you. And if you have to keep respecting me regardless of what I do to you, I can get away with anything, any type of behavior you could possibly imagine. I could walk up to you, call you every name in the book, smack you in the face, kick you on the while you're on the ground, and just keep on kicking you and kicking you. But you're not going to say anything about it because you respect your elders. Good for you, I guess. I mean, if that's comforting to you when someone's pounding you into the dirt, if it's comforting to you to respect that, what can I say? That's a you problem. Don't put that problem on me. Don't demand that of me, because you've fallen into the cycle of abuse and you are a victim of abuse. Don't pull me down there back with you. I got away from it and I'm not going back. I'm not going back. No matter how much you cry or screech or scream about you need to respect your elders, you need to listen to me, you need to follow this societal expectation, or else I'm going to throw a hissy fit. Throw it. Do it. I'm not going back. The notion that you always have to respect your elders is a bias. Biases are irrational, illogical. They go against what is real. It's a kind of mythos we tell ourselves. We must respect our elders. What have they done to deserve respect? Whatever happened to the colloquialism? What is it? It's about respect. If you want respect, then you have to be respectful. Something to that nature. That's not it, but that's essentially what it is. The one that I'm referring to. But that doesn't apply to old people. Why? Why not? This is why they put old people in office. This is the real reason. And there are a lot of theories on why, even though the age requirement for president is 35. 35 years old. That's a good age to be president, right? You're still your mental facilities are functioning on pretty much all levels in most cases. There are exceptions, obviously, but the vast majority of 35-year-olds, they're quick, They're witty. They can solve complex problems quickly. They don't have to sit around and think about it all day. They're not falling asleep in the Oval Office. But now it's become commonplace for there to be 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old, 90-year-old. Chuck Grassley is 93 years old or 96 or something like that. I mean, it's gotten out of hand. And it's, well, we have to respect our elders. Even when they're doing disrespectful things like taking food out of people's mouths during the holidays, we have to respect that. I think that there is a coordinated effort there to kind of get you away from criticizing politicians by putting elderly folks into office because you're taught to always respect your elders regardless of the wrong that they do. And I reject that notion. And I also want to say it's not as if I think, uh, elderly people are some cancer upon society or something like that. I mean, obviously I'm going to be older myself one day, but I think it's ridiculous that you're not allowed to question me or my integrity once I turn, I don't know, say like 55. I think that that is very odd, but it's a behavior that is promoted in society as being normal for some reason. Um, you can get into things like ageism, of course, and talking about that. And I've talked about that in the past. And I think that in many ways, ageism is wrong. But I think that ageism goes both ways. I don't think it should just be for people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. It should also be for people who are younger. We treat younger people a lot of times as if they know nothing, simply because they haven't been on the planet that long. And I mean, I don't believe in that. I think that there are some younger people who've been through a whole world of experiences at a very early age, maybe as teens, maybe sooner. And we should listen to them sometimes, not all the time. I'm not saying, like we need to have a society where we only ever listen to younger people. I'm just saying that their opinions matter as well. It shouldn't be a society that is based solely upon experience because experience isn't everything. Experience is valuable. It has its value in some instances, I guess. Um, Whether that be like work experience or life experience. Maybe someone's going through a tough time. You can tell them, essentially, like, I've been there too. But if you don't know the person's struggle, you might not be able to relate to it in the first place. And if you don't know the person's struggle and you try to relate to it, you could actually make it worse. So I'll just, give you kind of an example. I was talking to a person earlier, and one of the things I do for a living is I talk to other people and have conversations, sometimes very difficult conversations. And I don't think the conversation ever really became disrespectful or anything like that. It was just a conversation. It is possible to have serious conversations without getting upset, calling each other names, which is what happens a lot today just because of the volatile political situation and how much that's affecting everyone. But I think we're starting to come out of that. I think that there is hope that we can get back to a place where we can have difficult conversations and not resort to name calling. Maybe not today, but eventually. But anyway, the conversation was about respecting parents, and a lot of people's religious belief is that you respect your parents regardless of what they do. Doesn't matter what they do, you still respect them. And it's your choice to think that. I don't agree with that because my experience with that type of behavior has been not good. My father struggled with alcoholism. He struggled with rage, anger. He was very mean to me and my mother and the whole family, really. To the point, not to the point of some guy, because this is the vision that everyone gets of the mean dad. It's the guy on like the comedy show who comes in is like, well, like stop playing so loud in the room. And that's not what I'm talking about. That's not being mean. That's just being an authority figure. Sometimes you have to ruin the fun. I get that, and because there's a lot of talk, especially from conservatives, about this attack on men well, they won't even let us be men anymore. And you can parent your kids any way you want in America. You're allowed to get away with a lot. And one of the things my father did when I was young is he would yell extremely loud, embarrass me in public all the time. This is kind of considered normal. But like it was way louder than most fathers would ever even think of addressing their children. And one day, he got so drunk, and he and my mother had been having problems for their whole marriage, really. But this kind of reached a crux one night, and he had had this old Winchester rifle in his possession. He like, legal legal gun. Um, and then one day he went up in that closet when they were arguing, and he reached for that gun, and he threatened my mother. He threatened basically to shoot her, and she kind of said, if you do that, I'm calling the police. And then she picked up the phone and started calling the police. And it was only at that point that he ran away and went outside and then proceeded to, I don't know, go on some kind of idiotic rant outside about how the world was against him and all this stuff. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, he was that close to murdering my mother. And of course, the reaction from my family was milk toast. It was, well, get over it, move on. I'm not ever going to move on from that. I was 12 years old when that happened. You're scarred for life. You never forget it. It's always with you. And unless you've lived through the situation, and this is my point, because most people haven't, because even the people I was talking to, well, that's an extreme example. Yeah, that's the point. There are extreme examples. There are extreme examples. And so when you have those extreme examples and they're out there, maybe when you get into the colloquialisms and like respect your elders and all this, maybe don't say that to people. That's all I'm asking, because you don't know. Maybe that person is like me. Maybe they've been through some really rough shit that's rougher than anything that you'll ever be through. You can't relate to everyone. I know you want to. I know you have like this desire to make everyone feel better. You can't. Like I said, you know you have this desire to make everyone feel better, but it's not possible. Okay? It's just not. All right, everyone. I hope you have a phenomenal day, evening, afternoon, fiesta, siesta, downtime, chill time, lunchtime, party time. And remember, when life gets you down, you can always laugh at something else.